Hello and welcome to the Goodman Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Sanan, a good friend of mine and somebody I've seen his awesome work in business across in Bangkok and beyond. So Sanan, firstly, a warm welcome to Goodman Podcast. How are you doing, sir?
Good, I'm great. Thank you for inviting me.
Very good to have you on, Sanan.
Yeah.
So tell us, who is Sanan? Or tell us a little bit about yourself.
Born and brought up in Bangkok. Did my education in India, followed by Bangkok and followed by Singapore. Um, till the time I started my adult life, I lived outside Bangkok more than in Bangkok. Yeah, so a lot of mixed cultures in my upbringing. Then I moved back to Bangkok about 12 years ago and set up a construction company. Yeah, and yeah, we've been running it quite smoothly since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like you've done a lot of different things, a lot of different countries. Tell us a little bit about how did you end up back in Bangkok? You were obviously traveling, you were across different parts of the world. How did you end up
Yeah.
here? What was the story?
So I started my journey in finance. I was a broker in Thailand. Then I moved to Singapore to work in banking. And in the process, I met my wife. And when we decided to get married and settle down, we decided to choose Bangkok more because of its vibrancy and access to family, to domestic help. There's a um, lot of inspirations for me to move here. Singapore was getting a bit boring at some point. So yeah, so I actually had a very interesting journey because I quit like a high paying job and came back to start a business. And when I moved back, I didn't even know what I was going to do. So I just decided, let's just get married, have fun. So my honeymoon was the best in the world because I had zero phone calls. So yeah, that was my story. Then when I came back, my family's into development. So I thought, why not? Let's just extend and create a vertical integration. So that is how we decided to start a construction company.
And when you said development, I'm guessing you mean property
Yeah. So
development.
so we used to develop condos for sale in Bangkok. Yeah.
Understood. And obviously there is development of different types. There's residential, there's commercial.
Yeah.
Which are the ones which you really enjoy, and are there any challenges which you see in residential versus commercial properties?
Okay. So to be honest, if you develop a condo for sale, it's usually boring because it's all just four corners of a wall. When we started in the beginning, we used to do a lot more of residential, so a lot of private homes. It was fun, but at the same time, it came with a lot of challenges because most people, in general, never know what they want when it comes to building their homes. Or if I must twist the words around, it is more that they aren't sure because they're too scared to make a decision. And what happens in building homes is you want to build it once for yourself. So you end up doing and remodeling until you're happy with something. So for an owner, the journey is stressful but nice. But for a contractor, it is stressful and expensive. Then few years down the line, we ventured into doing a lot more of commercial properties. So that's where the fun started coming in because usually when it comes to commercial, customers are more open to your ideas and are willing to follow your footsteps. So long as you don't affect their big picture brand or big picture concept, you're allowed to then experiment and do things according to your own pace
Right.
and own
Understood.
taste. Yeah, yeah.
Understood. So when it comes to these kind of commercial projects, are you thinking more like luxurious materials, innovative designs, or are you sort of helping them with how to cut costs? How do you add value?
So there is a lot of things that we can add value with. Firstly, yes, it is cost cutting because a lot of times designers like to spec things that are a bit too expensive. And whenever we do commercial, the first question we always ask the client is, how long do you intend to stay open? I mean, it is a weird question for some people, but for some people it makes sense because there are times I've done a coffee shop where they actually said it's an interim coffee shop, it's an experiment. So they would assume that it should just last 3 to 5 years, and eventually they want to move to a new location or expand. So in such places, then we tone down the design and tone down the work that needs to be done. So we need to understand the client's requirements. If they are a very big established company, they've been doing it for a long time, then they are willing to pay the big bucks and just get it done fast. But if they are smaller scale clients or first timers, then it's a different journey with them. They would prefer to look more into cost cutting and time saving. But for bigger projects, all they care is that you finish it within their time frame. Yeah.
I get you. I get you. So obviously it sounds like you're very client-centric, and that's an important part of what you're doing is to be client-centric and to be able to meet the demands or their unique requirements.
Yeah. And also, what happens in commercial is clients are willing to experiment with products. So I had set up a coffee shop for a client who is into fabrics. So we experimented with creating um, fabric within glass using the customer's fabrics. You know, we took their fabrics and we created chairs and sofas. So in a way, it is also an advertisement for their own products, and at the same time, it's cost savings for us.
Understood. And these
Yeah.
ideas which you get about what to do, and obviously you're coming up with unique ideas like bring fabric in such class, which is not a common theme. How do you come up with these ideas? Is somebody in your team, or you do that, or is it the client who has an architect or a designer who helps you achieve those?
I think mostly it's me. I love thinking outside the box, and architecture has always been something fun for me. And if I cannot put in my signature in a project, then I have failed as a contractor. You know, so like how artists like to do paintings and sometimes hide their signature inside. So I mean, we try to do our part when we build something for clients. We always have our personal touch somewhere, which is our specific idea.
Gotcha. So in that theme, do you have a preference on, say, older buildings versus newer buildings, or new design versus like perhaps the historic design? Do you have preference in that, or are you agnostic of that and not don't really care?
I would prefer an old building because a building usually has its own history, and yes, you are confined within spaces of an old building. Like sometimes you just can't move a pillar. So you got to really use your head and think on ways to move around it, you see. So once there's challenges in a project, it's not that it's stressful, it sometimes ends up being more fun because you get to sit and think. Otherwise life just becomes so monotonous. You get a bare land and then a customer says build according to it. You don't really get to put in your 2 cents. So I do love old buildings. They are more challenging and they're more interesting, and it's a lot more work.
I was going to say, I mean, my family's full of architects, and I know there's always a discussion about plumbing and electrics and all that sort of fun stuff in old buildings. There's a lot more to look into. Is that a
Yeah.
challenge for you usually, or are you sort of like, no, it's part of the job?
Nah, no, those for me it's a part of a job. So we come and we evaluate the existing structure. Usually electrical works we got to redo anyways when we remodel a place. But plumbing, then it depends on how old the building is and the state of the pipes. And I usually recommend clients to replace them because you want to redo a toilet, but you don't want to redo the pipes. It's like you know just getting an old Mercedes and just repainting it. But sometimes what happens is the engine's going to run out.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely understand. And even in software, when we have like building software, we often say, "You got everything, let's start fresh," because there's a better chance that it'll survive for the next 100 years or 10 years or X number of years, as opposed to just repainting, as you said, about Mercedes.
Yeah, true. Because a lot of times clients come and say, "Can we save by keeping one particular wall in a toilet?" But then they fail to realize that if I don't cut the whole thing, there are more chances of leakages. You know, or by trying to save something, sometimes it's going to end up costing you more money.
Yeah.
It's strange how our world has moved, because even in construction, the cost of goods is not the problem anymore. People are finding ways to get them cheaper. But what is more expensive is the cost of labor, which keeps growing higher and higher every day. Now, we need to learn to use lesser labor for the same amount of job. But for Thailand, I feel like it's still a long way, because we don't have good vocational schools and colleges that teach people masonry or carpentry. Everybody at the end of the day comes and works on site and learns on the job.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you train people? Like, how do you go about? I know there's a big drive in your company about culture and thinking about culture and beyond. How do you train people and how do you inculcate that culture in them?
So, because we've been open for a few years, the first few years was a bit tiresome, where I actually got down on my own knees to fix a floor or to paint a wall, and tried to train a few people on how I would expect our quality to be. And so I guess that culture has inculcated within the company, and new kids come and learn from the old guys, and that's our mini school right there.
So how would you define your culture in a few words? Like, what is it? What is ideas Thailand? Idea Thailand's
Yeah.
culture?
Um, if we have to do it once, we have to do it right. you know so we believe in quality over quantity. We prefer that whatever we do, even if it doesn't look nice to you, I make sure that my structure has to stand for life. So it's our culture that whatever we do it for the benefit of the client and for the benefit of a third party. you know uh, at the end of the day, we touch an average of maybe 6 million lives a year. When I say that is because we build a lot of hotels, restaurants. So if you average the people coming in, that's the kind of numbers we touch on a daily basis. You know. So because we have a touch point with so many clients, our culture is always to make sure that whatever we do it for the benefit of the people, for the clients, and at the same time making sure that our staff are happy doing it. Construction can be very, very stressful, and it is a part of the job. So usually, when somebody comes to interview with us, the first thing we ask is, how much stress can you take on? You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and it is not a job that gets a pat on the back. You know, clients usually are thankful with us once we complete the job, but once it's done, we never get a call again.
Mm.
So sometimes I would like to call it that we are the people who do the thankless jobs. But keeping that in mind, our culture is always to be positive and always do the right thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, from what I understand from my family who are also in construction and architecture, they tell me it's similar. It's a thankless job. It's hard, um, but it's vital. Like it is, you can't build an office, you can't build a hospital, you can't build a hotel without someone like yourself and your company to make it happen. So it's an essential requirement for human race, as it were. But equally, people don't understand that there's a lot which goes into it.
Yeah.
Ensuring that obviously you have all these different things as part of it. yeah, I think it's well done you for standing your ground and high quality work.
Mm.
Do you find that it's harder to achieve high quality and having the schedules and the budget requirements met in every project you do?
Yes, there is a challenge. So what happens is when we are trying to look for the right quality and the right budget, uh, whenever we create a bill of quantity for customers, customers like to perceive our company to be expensive. But what they don't realize is we're not trying to be expensive. We're just not trying to cut corners. There's a nice saying, that we as a business sell three things, and you can pick only two. It's time, price, or quality. You know, so it now depends on which two the client wants, because you can't really get all three at the same time. So it gets difficult sometimes when some clients have very low budgets, and if we have to do it within that budget but we have to cut corners, then I actually end up dropping the project. Yeah. My Yeah, sometimes it's both ways. Sometimes the client themselves just see a quotation and turn away, so then you know what they're looking for. And some clients, when they come and talk to you, that they want to reduce the price of a particular job, and so I tell them, look, in Thailand there are more than 10,000 contractors. I'm sure you can find somebody else who fits the bill. Yeah. One thing I've learned is never try to cut corners, because you are doing something that affects people's lives. If you do subpar construction, a house can crumble down and kill people. So it's not it's not something that is just let's say an app that doesn't affect the life of a human being.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you believe that over the years the construction has become more complicated or more complex with, maybe more complex electrical and internet installations? I mean, I know recently we installed fiber optic in our house and they had to like chip away into the ceiling, to the walls. And now I'm guessing many condos and hotels have this requirement as as a given. Does that make your job harder, easier? How do you see that
No,
impacting your business?
for us it's the same. How I see it is just another day at work. Yeah, we have to do these things every day.
Understood. And do you see that there are other challenges in constructing in Thailand because of perhaps the rain, waterproofing? Because I know it rains so much and it's just not started yet. But I'm sure when it starts, there's going to be insane amount of rain coming through.
Okay, so uh, 8 years ago, I gave up on waterproofing in Thailand because rains are torrential over here. And at the same time, when it doesn't rain, it's so hot that it causes the cement to crack up. Right. So we do have a flaw in the construction materials that we use. It's usually not the fault of a contractor, rather that the construction materials used are not up to par with the weather conditions today. Maybe they have they do have solutions for you, but usually those solutions come at a higher cost that customers aren't willing to pay. So what happens is when you accept something of a particular standard, but that cannot match with the world's changing weather, what happens is you have complications in construction. So buildings usually after the age of 10 start having hairline cracks from where water seeps in. And when we started off, we were very naive and we were using very simple methods in trying to fix these problems. Then one day, out of frustration, I'm like, I really need to do some research on this. And I traveled to a few countries to find a solution. And then I found a company in Malaysia that helped us in solving our problems. And we ended up becoming a partner with them. So today we're actually a waterproofing specialist in Thailand. Yeah. So what is fun with this is that every year we try to come up with new products that try to beat the weather conditions. So we came up with a waterproofing coating that can stretch 9 times its size. So it's like 900% elasticity.
Oof, that's crazy. I can't even imagine. I can't even physically or mentally think about like how that might be. But like sounds very. Maybe one day you just show us how you do that because it sounds like a very cool thing to do.
Sure. We've also come up with the flexible cement.
Okay, how does that
Yeah.
work?
So it's got a lot of latex mixed into the cement, which allows the cement to move a little bit, so that when the building has additional expansion or contraction within its pores, the cement can still stretch to protect it from water leaking through.
It's poof.
Yeah.
I mean, the innovation happening in the market is just mind blowing.
Yeah. So what happens with this is every product always has its own shortcomings. So we have to keep innovating or finding ways to fix them. So flexible cement cannot take the heat. So if you use them, then you need another kind of coating to protect your building.
All right. So if I was to ask Sanan, when clients come to you, obviously you mentioned you're not the cheapest, but you are of high caliber, high quality. Is it when they come and sign up with you, is it because of the innovation? Is it because of the communication? Is it because of the company culture? What is the biggest, I mean, say the 80% reason why they kind of come to you initially or to sign up with you?
It is because of our never giving up attitude and our culture of making sure that you get the right product at the right quality without the headache. So when we take
Mm.
on a job with clients, we usually take away the headache. And this is something people love because in Thailand, contractors give customers a lot of headache, starting with running away with their money.
Crazy,
So
crazy.
yeah, we've been standing for a long time, and we've got good foundations and good financial backgrounds to support our team. So that gives clients uh, more confidence in choosing us.
And obviously, one key part of all of this is communication with the customer. Obviously, if you're looking to talk to them, to work with them, especially in construction where you have unique experiences or sort of challenges on a regular basis, how do you communicate with your customer? Do you have any tools you use, or is there some like a management style you've got to communicate with them? How do you go about communication within your company with your customers?
So I would separate communication into two aspects. One is more on the tech or non-tech side. On the other hand is the human touch. You know, so we believe in communicating with a human touch. I am always there at least once a week in a particular site with the client, where we do a walk around and we discuss the pros and cons of everything that we're doing. So I actually walk the client through their journey, where once we're constructing something, I explain to them these are some things that I'm doing that we're not charging you extra for, but we're going to make sure that it's done because it's needed for making sure that your place can stay longer than it's supposed to. You know, so sometimes clients don't understand that materials that are chosen um, might work for a few years, but if we can spend maybe 5 or 10% more above the budget for a few items, we can extend their usage by another 5 or 10 years. So we do those kind of things without telling clients in advance, and usually clients get a nice surprise once they work with us because they actually end up getting more than what they've paid for. So I guess that's where clients get happy, and we've always had good referrals, and our business has literally flourished from word of mouth. Believe it or not, I've never done marketing in my 12 years.
Wow. Almost
Yeah.
unheard about in marketing technology company, so which is what I run. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
Marketing like is the key part of getting sales, and it's incredible that you've obviously got that without any actual marketing and pushing the sales going through.
Yeah.
Now, as you scale the company up, obviously you visit every customer every week. How do you see yourself scaling further? What are your thoughts on scaling up your company?
So I think every entrepreneur has this journey where you start from small and usually you're the one doing the job. So when we started off, I mean, I was handling a lot of things on my own. And as we grew, you get one person to take on a part of your role.
Hmm.
So I always like to joke that I probably need 30 people to do what I do. And yeah, so we do have people coming in who are taking that burden away from me. But at the same time, it does come with challenges because it takes time to train someone to communicate within the same wavelength with you, to understand your corporate culture, and to believe in your core values to go forward. So what we try to do is we try to train our staff. We try to teach them on site. So I believe in the olden way of working, which is literally just fold up your sleeves and learn on the job.
And obviously, you've done stuff which like Brian Chesky, the founder of Area Investors, initially do things which don't scale. So the founder gets involved herself, and obviously you've done that.
Yeah.
And yeah, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you
So
saying?
so so at some point, you do realize that you are stuck, and now it is time to scale. And for that reason, I actually joined EO because I heard from a friend of mine that EO would really help my business. And then when I met you and you told me about EO as well, it just gave me a nice kick that yes, there are people who have scaled their business, and it is nice to learn from them. So one of the things is I actually joined EO to learn how to scale my business. So it provides us with so many tools to look into our business and take a step back and reflect on what we've done, where we stand, where we look to go, and how to achieve it.
And so far, has your journey been?
Exceptional, incredible, mind blowing.
Could you talk through some of the stuff which you have, perhaps EO has, maybe one or two things which EO has
Yeah,
added
so
to your
so
life?
I'll explain where EO has actually helped me grow. Um, Before I joined EO, I was actually very stressed out because I was still doing most of the work myself. I was on two phones, one iPad at the same time, sometimes while driving and eating. So that's how work was for us. And then when I got into EO, I met up with a lot of entrepreneurs who showed me that adding a bit of structure in your company can ease your burden of work and at the same time help you scale. I forget the author, but somebody once said, right, that 10x your business is much easier than 2x. All you need is tools. So I think that's what EO helps people like me, small time entrepreneurs who are looking to expand, and where we're going to move from being like a small medium company to a large company. So all this journey, yeah, all this journey is through EO. Through EO, I've actually hired um, a general manager, which I never thought in my life I actually needed one until I started using the tools and realizing where my shortcomings were. So somebody comes in and takes away a lot of your headache. Uh, it helps you focus more on your business. So today, instead of working for my company, I am working to grow my company.
I love it. I love it. I mean, from working in a company, working on it in a company, looking to expand a company, going
Yeah.
from an SME to a large company. I love the vision. I love what you have done there, Sanan, and I wish you a lot of luck and a lot of success. I know you're gonna smash it alongside the right team you got there, your vision, your focus on the customer and making their projects a success. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome journey, and I'm glad we connected together to kind of so I can see your growth in there. But Sanan, thank you so much for jumping on this podcast, for being part of the Goodman Podcast, and thank you for sharing so openly about your path to success, your past, as well as what you're doing with the company. So once again, thank you for being part of it, and look forward to hopefully having you back on the podcast at some point to see how you progress
Yeah.
with the journey.
Thank you. Thanks to you.